Welcome everybody to our live stream here on lichess and Twitch. I am a little late, apologies. Little late is better than never. Welcome everybody, happy Thursday. Thanks Mr. Coffee, got me on the clock. Move 11 invited you to game study. So we are going over subscriber games today. And I've got about 9 submissions out of a possible 10 thus far. Let me add the Move 11 game. International Master William Pascal, aka Sladgie, here on lichess. I'm using the name Sparkle Horse, former band name. That's merely my lichess handle. You can call me Sladgie, but don't call me Sir or Mr. But Mr. Coffee can go by Mr. Mr. Coffee likes Mr. It makes me feel old, Mr. Coffee. I don't like being a Mr. Move 11 gifting the first sub for today. He gifted tier 1 sub to the community. He's gifted a total of 102 in the channel. Hype Train has been called. He gifted tier 1 to Swift Breeze 43. Thanks to all of you for your support. I'm gonna add this game to... Damn it. Move 11. What is wrong with this picture? You have to make me a contributor. You have to make me... Give me the power somehow. I can't add this to my study. You give me additional powers. Snuggles the Snail is here. Move 11, can you give me additional powers in that study? To add it to my study? I am a contributor. Something is blocking, maybe because it's private, I guess. Something's blocking me from adding this. See if you can figure out what it is. It's gonna be one of the last streams today. One of the last streams today. One of the last games for today. Nope. I can't add it. Astrobate gifted a tier 1 sub to Magneto Head. Okay. Yeah, send the game to Yabatis on lichess, Move 11. He'll figure it out. That'll work. Yabatis is our Thursday assistant. Kakatiri, welcome. Mr. Coffee, thanks for being here for the Hype Train. We've got a gift sub from Astrobate to Magneto Head, making the second gift sub for today. So, where's my study? We're doing Thursday night subscriber stream game analysis. I'm a little late. I was kind of sleepy all day because a courier woke me up at like 6 o'clock this morning. I wasn't happy about that. But I got my package. Alright. I guess I should be happy, but it made me tired all day. We're running about 10 minutes behind schedule here. Alright, we've got studies, learn, study, my studies, and where is it? Where the heck is it? What? It's not my studies, it's studies I contribute to. Blah, 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 blah. Analysis stream, Thursday, April 22nd. Alright. Let's see how our lag is. Oh, the other thing was I had to restart my computer before we started. Because last time I started the stream without rebooting, I got this insane lag. I really didn't want that to happen. I guess if I run my computer all day and like try to stream without closing some sort of... It's not the applications, but just like, I don't know, executables or hanging or something. I don't know, but it seems to like be better if I reboot. Anyways, we've got something strange going on actually. No, there it is. Okay, Goiju is first game. Sadamasa, Princess Chess, Mule Skinner, Yabatis, Astrobate, Sumaher, Tezek, and Move 11. So there is one more place. ChessFan777, that's you. You're good, you. There is one more game opening for analysis game. I do up to 10. I usually have a hard time getting in all 10. If you're a subscriber, you have to be a subscriber to submit a game. You're welcome to join us even if you're not a subscriber and contribute to our analysis, but in order to have your game analyzed to be number 10, you have to be a subscriber to the stream. Alright. Without further ado, we're going to get started. I am starting a few minutes late here, about 15 minutes late. This is Goidyu's game. How's my board? Board looks alright. You can even see the names. Alright, first game is me. Me. It's Robbie V against Goidyu. Cockatier, I would prefer that. You could be game number 10, Cockatier. A hand and brain game with root chess. Yes. I'm aware of root chess. She did play in the same team battle against us and also raided my stream once, I believe. Yep. So this is a game you played against her. Hand and brain game with root chess. She is an Indian streamer, right? So let's see. You're playing white. No, you're playing black. Alyakin's defense. The so-called Brooklyn variation. Okay. A little bit of a story here. I mean, as far as I know from an Alyakin defense expert, my former teammate and lifetime Alyakin's defense player, Vargazoli, this really shouldn't be called the Brooklyn variation because actually it was played like this was the original way to play the Alyakin's defense. I guess like 100 years ago among old masters. This was like the original move. Just it got called the Brooklyn defense because of a random game that Joel Benjamin trotted it out, and Joel is from Brooklyn, and he sort of hijacked it. But according to Zoli, it's much older than that. All right. I had an old book on the Alyakin's defense. Remember that game was mentioned like last chapter in the book. It should in fact be the classical. So it's not that easy to refute this. Alright, d4. And then, now a weird move. As far as I know, there's two ways to play this. Like, you either play d5, or you play in a contemporary Alyakin's style where you're trying to destroy the enemy pawn formation. Old Alyakin sounds better. Warnaki, welcome. So Robbie V is a big supporter of our stream. Okay. I think I like d5 better. I mean, there is no way to equalize here. We're not going to argue this is better than the normal Alyakin. It's true that probably knight d5 is a better move overall. But it's very hard to get the knight out, and I think in a position where it's closed, maybe we can afford that a little bit more. I'm afraid here where it's not closed, like the d6, I mean, this knight is just not getting in the game, and it's not a closed position. I'm a little concerned about this. Alrighty, so I like d5 better. You played e6. I mean, the thing is, if you play d5, this bishop has the ability to come out on this diagonal. d5 looks odd because e6 has to follow, but it doesn't have to follow, right? Eventually, yes, but you might be able to get your bishop outside. I mean, it's the advanced Caro-Kann just taking back the c6 to c7, right? That's what it is. It's the advanced Caro-Kann taking back c6, c7 and giving white a free move. Probably not great. But I don't know about e6. I don't think e6 has a lot of independent value. You could try to play a kind of Owen defense with b6 if enabled here. So white played knight f3. I mean, I'm definitely going to consider b6. Where the e5 early may not be the best, maybe, variation for white. Though Mr. Slow probably likes it. There's one game here. Volkov, who's an extremely strong Russian grandmaster. He's played in the Soviet Championship, or Russian Championship. I'm a little bit late with that Soviet Championship thing, but Russian Championship as recently as a few years ago. Volkov is really strong. He's gone down in recent years, but here's a game with the Butcher. Butcher playing weird openings. Not a good idea against a player of Volkov's category. You could experiment with the Brooklyn defense against an ordinary grandmaster, maybe, but not a 2600. Not a good idea by the Butcher. Now d5. So basically black is like down a tempo in the advanced French at this point. Bishop d3. Lichess, welcome. Yeah, I mean, bishop d3 seems right. You're down a tempo. Now knight e7, what's the plan? I mean, normal advanced French plans are b6 or c5. Knight e7 is like defaulting to white. I don't know what our plan is here, though. It's unusual. I don't know what we're trying to do with knight e7. Put the knight in f5, and then what? We don't have any pressure on white center, and we're not able to trade any pieces. This is awful for black. Now g6. Again, we have no way to trade pieces, and then there's like these huge dark square weaknesses. Very, very bad. Don't like this at all. So white plays bishop g5, ready to infiltrate on f6. Bishop g7, very strange position. But I mean, now at this point, I don't have a better suggestion. I guess you have to play that, and if white plays bishop f6, you'll probably take. I mean, this is even a reasonable move. Maybe that pawn will fall. The pawn will fall, so he can't do that right away, or they can't do that right away. Queen d2 makes sense. If h6 now, white might be able to play queen f4 later. But I would definitely play h6 here. If this takes, for better or for worse, you're winning that pawn. Not so easy. What does white do on h6? Seems like the lesser of the evils. You don't, it's a hippo, basically. You're playing a hippo. And you need to stop that infiltration. Definitely want to stop bishop h6 and the weakening of your dark squares. So I think this is forced. Oh, okay. Yeah, move 11 is making reference to hyper-accelerated dragon variations, where these pawns are like off the board. But, I mean, white has really got a good setup here. Hello, Princess Chess and Warnaki. So I'm definitely not allowing bishop h6. I think now you're seriously worse. Although white kind of wishes that he hadn't castled, because then he could play h4, h5. Perhaps. You know, another thing here, in fact, maybe white rushed with bishop h6. Maybe they could consider other options. But it's a very normal move, honestly. So, knight f5. You know, I think here white can play strategically. It looks like a French. It's okay to give up this bishop. Black would take with the e pawn. Said bishop, maybe she meant bishop f6. Nah, not in this position. Maybe. Let's see. You also have this move. No, I don't think so. I think she probably meant it. There's nothing wrong with bishop h6. It's not a big mistake. I'm just wondering about this move, that this should be played. We have a very good advanced French here for white, where you're trading off the dark square bishop, and black can't get control of these dark squares. Like a long-term advantage for white here with two knights in a closed structure. h4 and just general control of the dark squares versus a bad white square bishop. Long-term game where white has excellent chances to win, but not a direct attack necessarily. Like long-term, two knights versus bad bishop and knight in a closed position. 80 move sort of strangulation, space advantage play for white. I don't think that white necessarily is going for a mating attack here. But instead they play bishop g7. Okay, this move is probably fine. King takes. And then they take. You know, so this inclusion of like king on g7. You got the basic idea. Now black can play h6 and maybe eventually try to play g5. Yes. So, huge moment in the game. Most people would play at h4 now. But instead they played a tricky move, knight f4. Trying to hope to get the knight in to h5 and knight f6. If g5, knight h5 check. It's probably simpler just to play h4 for white. I mean, you need somehow to play for g5, but not so easy to do that. Maybe it's conceivable. There's a way. I'm not thinking of any, like off the top of my head, though. It's a pretty bad position for black. Maybe this knight could have gone to a6, c7. I see you're headed for f8. Now, I don't know about a6 here, but your position is extremely passive. Yeah, I mean, it's a typical advanced French position. h4, g3, like UberDriver's saying, maybe king g2, some kind of King's Indian attack. White will need to open it up at some point. This can come across. There's like c4 eventually. I don't think you had to play a6, I would argue. Like, allowing a6, you can play b6. I'm not sure that's mandatory. But you basically left yourself in an extremely passive position. Now, eventually they did. But I mean, this rook is really nicely placed. So you went for g5, but it looks dangerous tactically. Maybe the best you can do here, I would, not know what to recommend. I mean, even trading queens, you're probably still clearly worse. This other rook can just filter in, and although eventually you might be able to play g5, really go for g5. That's the question. So you got the knight on h7 covering f6. And then they decided to take here, but it's like, whoa. that wasn't really what we were hoping for. I mean, is there any kind of miracle? Knight takes, rook g3. I'm interested, but I mean, white's threatening this now. Yeah, I mean, this does look kind of dangerous. It looks very dangerous, actually. I don't know where you go. Rook h8, probably only move. Now I don't know if white can make progress. But anyway, my idea was this. But rook h3, pawn h3, and then black will survive, I guess, with king h8. It looks like black survives. Let's see what the engine says. I'm curious about this. Yeah, computer move. I mean, all I know is that I don't want to make this move. I don't want to make this move for white. Definitely not. After that, black might be back in the game. But I mean, no, white needs his tactic. If you don't have the tactic, you don't have f6. Knight h5 check, king g6. White's in trouble now. This is how it goes wrong. And these pawns can kind of roll up, and black could even start attacking white on the king side. So white needs this tactic to work, and the white didn't see it. They go into this, but now the structure, you know, I expected you to play pawn takes. This is based on structure. But rook takes gives you interesting possibilities with the rook. Is it worth it? This looks safer to me. After that, I think that black is okay. It appears. You know, who knows? I mean, maybe white has some weird move like g4. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on here. I don't think that white is necessarily in danger. This might be a decent move, for example. Because this is a strong attack for white now. It could totally turn around. The knight on h7 has nowhere to go. It's going to take it forever to get to f8, g6. So g4 possible there. Yes, best move. I'm firing on all cylinders today. So rook takes gives us more dynamism. Rooks are always the best blockader. And then white's seeking an exchange of queens. But we have the advantage on the king side, so I'm not sold on this. I think you should avoid the exchange of queens. I'm playing queen e7. We're going... Barbie is going to party now. Because I feel like in the endgame, you know, maybe you still get tortured, but it looks kind of interesting. If you don't agree to this exchange, you know, maybe white will have to bail out and like repeat moves or something. Queen b6, you avoided the queen exchange with queen h8. Also interesting. But white has incursions like this move. I don't love that. You're kind of all in on this like h8 mating idea. This looks a little more like principled to me. Queen h8. Is that the best move? The engine actually likes queen c8, which is something I would have missed. Got subtle f4 ideas in this position. Involving that. Harder to see that. h8, g4 now, giving the knight a square. And white better start thinking about evacuation procedures. We have a possible hurricane. Evacuation procedures are in order for southern counties. Maybe it's time. Dongers, there's no more. I don't think there's any more room in the stream for submissions. I don't know. You can try. I think we're up to 10 already. Queen c7, though. This was one of the risks you take with queen h8. Knight g5. Rook takes. Evacuation procedures are underway. Whoa. But obviously white is bailing out. Now you have to see this coming in advance. Cooking rooks. Greetings, friends. It is I, Bowie49, born anew. Rook cooks. The problem is he's getting out. You know, if I was white, honestly, I don't know. I would have considered doing that preemptively. The preemptive king f1. For the truly prophylactic player. Maybe we could just castle on the other side of the board, you know, and then go about our business. But anyways, so this is forced. So what do you have now? Anonymous Gifter is gifting 5 tier 1 subs to community. Cooking rooks. You're not anonymous. Wait a minute, it said Anonymous Gifter. What? Let me check out what's happening here. Hold on a second. Cooking rooks is gifted a sub. I'm confused. Gita B, iLawChess, Jivago, 36D, nice name, and Etium. Etium's back. You're gifting subs in celebration. We're gonna have some kind of hype train if this keeps up. It was weird though. I got a message that said anonymous gifter at first. It normally doesn't do that. Why did it call you an anonymous gifter? Thank you, man. Very generous. He's a non-anonymous gifter. Gifting 5 subs. Subs makes me think of Italian sandwiches. Being from southern New Jersey, that's rough sometimes. Alright. Queen takes b7. I live in Hungary. I'm originally from southern New Jersey, which is an extension of Italy. Queen takes b7, rook h1. I'm not an Eagles fan, but I have been to Eagles games when I was a kid. Queen takes b7. Now, I lived in New England for too long, but originally. When I was a little kid, I was an Eagles fan. Ron Jaworski. That's old school, man. 80s Eagles. That's like beyond 80s. Rook h1 check. What am I doing? Alright. Right, looks like white's getting away. I'm concerned that black has enough compensation here. This knight just... Can he pop back to e6? Maybe you've got knight e6 in the bag. Okay, so rook h1. You need to play this. Hitting that escape hatch. And now what's white going to do? Well, you're from Long Island. Yeah, you're from South Jersey. I mean, you're from Long Island. Yeah. I grew up near Philly. But I moved to New England and then Europe. So we've lived in 3 places, all very different places. I try to take the good with the bad. 96. All right, what are we going to do, man? 96 hitting this with check. Dude, this looks strong. That's a serious move. If you found 96, so you're a little impatient with the rook check. I guess it's not terrible, right? The rook check. He comes up. You take. Let's calculate what happens here. Check. Knight f1. And now you played what? Queen g2. So, okay, this looks interesting. But you've also got to consider this maybe not letting him out of the bag at all. Like, what happens if you play knight here? If he tries to run, which maybe he should, you can take check, king d1. Then again, it's hard to see how you continue this attack. But it looks like black is actually doing pretty well. It would be tough on the fly to decide which one of these variations is better. If you should try to play knight e6 or not. So you went with the kind of obvious continuation. Check, 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 take. Here, knight f3 check. Check. And you've got e4. And now, that's looking pretty scary for white. There's also d2. And you've got a very brutal f4 on the cards. Oof. Actually, that looks winning. Does white have a chance for perpetual check at the end of everything? With some sort of queen e7? So king c3 seems right. Now you have f4. But white would have queen here. For example, f4, queen e7, threatening perp. What looks like a perpetual check. If white plays king d2, f4 will be stronger because that capture will be with check. So I think they made the right decision with king c3. It's obviously a messy game, very little time left. But now you play knight b5 check. I was concerned the white king is like running away. How serious is this? Why doesn't white go over here? Just my surface analysis. My fear is that the king is getting away back to a2 and b1. Thank you guys for your generosity. No, Cooking Rooks, I didn't realize you're from Long Island. But you live in a different place now. He's in a different place now. I don't know, man. Like, New York and South Jersey are like different worlds. It's like North and South California. They should be different states, essentially. Even North Jersey and South Jersey. Knight b5 check, king d2, queen e5. Whoops. Alright, so this is a problem now. I mean, this a-pawn falls, and that a-pawn is very fast to queen. I was concerned about that. So you took the pawn, but I mean, what about other moves here? What about like d4, f4, f4 knight g4? This is a problem. I guess. Actually, you know, who knows what's going on here? f3, threatening mate in 2. Maybe white is lost. Yeah, he's lost. I mean, they're lost. So I don't know. I go for king b3. White is lost in either line, but king b3 is better. Yeah, this is better. They have a better chance of survival with king b3. But it looks like you could play f4. This is like devastating. It was really low time though, 15 seconds. But you can't just collect pawns, because they'll get the a-pawn down. And you just blundered knight f5. Oh no, it's check. Sorry. King here. Time. And that's the queen. I'll make a comment here. You know, in time pressure, I feel like you're being material oriented. You got a very sharp position, almost impossible to calculate, imbalanced, and I feel like you're pawn grabbing with the last couple of moves. Okay, this taking here, you've got to create threats. This doesn't really create any threats, you know. That's a non-threatening move. You need to create concrete threats in this position. Queen e5 is a bad idea. And you're still winning, apparently. Now just check. And it's still a draw, if you're careful. I mean, a very sharp position, though. So that was interesting. Alright, cool opening. Very long analysis of this game, and we're still not really finished. There is a counterfork. So here, probably h7 wasn't good. That was that nasty mate, right? King here, check. King g8 and knight e7 mate. Oof. Easy to blunder that. King f8 is no good. So, the only move is this. A good one, though. Check here, here, check, here. Yeah, so this would have been tricky. He'll eventually take your queen. Alright, so the next game is Sada Masagana, otherwise known as the Berserker. That was an interesting back and forth game, though. But I don't like the way you played that Brooklyn classical Alekhine. e6 doesn't seem right. d4, knight f6. Alright, so the Berserker is a big fan of the Grunfeld King's Indian. This game looks like it's King's Indian. I'm going to turn off the engine. I do like to use it for positions that are just saving time and verifying analysis. I don't want it to leave the engine on constantly. Uber driver, welcome. Thank you guys, everybody, for tuning in. We've got a whole bunch of games. Let me see. Yabatis, did you add any games finally? Oh, e6 is your pet variation. I don't think I refuted it. We've still got just 9 games. No game 10. Is that right, Yabatis? We can do 10 games. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I refuted it. I think that it's just, yeah, not great. They did a pretty good job, but you should have played h6. Alright, e4, d6. So there is one more opening for a game submission. If you have a game, if Dongers or someone wants to submit game number 10, please just send it over to Yabatis. Ayubates. Oh no, this is ridiculous. This is what's his name? Wow, this is the speaking of kamikaze, Prem 666 variation. Also possible as h4. You know, on another subject, you guys see the Ding Liren game where he played h4 against MVL. You know, what's weird is that MVL had a game with Magnus in the same variation a while back. They had something like Bishop g7, Knight c3. You see this, Carlsen Vacher? He actually played worse against Ding Liren than he did against Carlsen in 2019. But I mean, how can he like unimprove on his own play? d6, no, c5, d5, and now watch what he did against Magnus in 2019. He played e6. Like, this makes complete sense to me. We're trying to open the game as fast as possible. What he did against Magnus the first time is actually right. He lost not because of the opening, but because it was Magnus, I guess. e4, e takes d5, e takes d5, castles, bishop e2, and now rook e8, and Magnus had to play king f1, or that's the best move anyway. And so I found with Stockfish, this is an improvement. You can play h5 now. And I don't know, you know. This position is not as good as what Ding Liren got in the game the other day. My conclusion is that still it's an interesting position where he can try to play knight h3, whatever, but his king is on f1. You know, it's not as good as what Ding Liren got, and that's the way that Vacher should probably try to play it. I mean, this seems to be the best. Of course, like, losing to Carlsen is possible in any position. But I like the way that Bashir did this the first time. He doesn't waste time with d6. He just plays e6 directly. I don't know. It looks like a better way to play. Anyway, just a little bit of candidates analysis there for you. d6, bishop e2, castles, g4. All right, man. I give up. So the Prem 666 played this against me twice. You have to play c5. And I guess White has to play d5, because if g5... I mean, maybe it doesn't matter, right? You can play g5 or d5. What's the difference? If g5, where do we go? He did this against me. Is this a move? No one has ever tried knight h5, but it's worth a whirl. So close it up anyway, and now the knight is stuck out there, left to its own devices. Let's try to find an improvement here. f5. By the way, Stockfish 13 is massively better than Stockfish 11, in my opinion. I'm already seeing signs of it. Has anyone else noticed the same thing? I guess that's why it's 13. But it's really, really telling to me. It's becoming more noticeable every day. It's not the brute force analysis, just like deeper ideas that it's able to play. What do we got here? Is this worth taking a look? Is this a refutation of the Prem 666 variation? Bang. Bishop h5, pawn h5, queen h5. And if you watch the Ding Liren Lachier game, you might have seen this is looking like a really crazy... This is really demented. I mean, this needs to be deeply analyzed. I don't know why we need to do that, honestly. It's counterintuitive for me. I get it that you're like taking the pawn on e4. I wouldn't play that move unless I ran this on a computer like for 2 days straight. The Gingy Indian's one thing, but in the Gingy Indian you're putting your king on c7, man. You know, you don't castle kingside in the Gingy Indian under normal circumstances. You put your king on like c7. If my king is on c7, I'm completely fine with playing bishop takes c3. But not with my king on g8. I'm not that excited about this, honestly. The computer is somehow like trying to play an ending with queen e8. But anyways, that's an idea, you know, that's never ever been played here in this opening explorer. Obviously, the lichess opening explorer is limited. It's missing a lot of older games. But the big question here is knight e8 or knight d7. But let's just see what happened in the game. He plays d5 first. What can you do? e6. So Stockfish has another novelty, which is possible. And I have to say, like, very, very natural, no? b5. b5, g5, knight h5 again. I love this. Takes. Whatever, take whatever you want. Take this, take this, take this. You like bishops? Well, like black has good bishops. But this again would require like very accurate play by black. Anyway, it's food for thought. There's a lot of interesting stuff involving knight h5. So e6 was played. Oh, you did that move. Whoa, you actually did that. Here I am just kidding around. Like, I was expecting you to play e6, and you actually played b5. Okay, so e6 is the main move. This was played once. Mamjar Rajabov. So this is wrong? Rajabov knows how to play the King's Indian. He beat Mamajaro back in 2010. It makes a lot of sense. Two bishops, both very strong. Sacking a pawn here. The engine is not overly convinced. Knight a6 is best. And still a sizable advantage to white. So this is not clear. So against Prem 666, I played this. And he took here. And I took, and I think he like took my pawn on d6. This was a literal game I had. But I have no freaking clue what's going on. I just intuitively sacrificed this pawn. And then eventually, white got like f4, and I was getting f4 e5, and like he was going to spatially shut my bishop out. Something like that. This can hang with check. It's better for black, but it's weird, you know. We had some crazy game like this. Where I did, I believe, like this, something like this. And then maybe f4 was played. There was really insane complications. I don't remember exactly what happened. I tried to tell him that it's unsound for white. But h4, really? Can that be good, master? So let's see who played this, right? Some random guy, Kochi Chak, lost to Joe Gallagher. Salai Cornell, Hungarian master I don't really know. And the crazy, wild Osman Palos, originally from Bosnia, who used to play really bizarre stuff, since passed away. But these guys are like maniacs, you know. This isn't a good way to play with white. There's no way that it's sound. So anyways, b5 is just a new try. It looks like knight d7 is good. The other question was knight e8. I mean, I don't really like knight e8 because it's passive. But it does keep the d6 square protected. So there's Vita Levente, Romanov, my buddy. And he's a really nice guy. Accuses all of his opponents of playing for draws. He's got like some kind of obsession. h4. Yeah. Gonda versus Vita. Gotta like black there. I don't know what Gonda's doing. That was 2007 and Gonda didn't find his style yet or something. He would never do that today. Alright. No, even knight e8 is good. Everything's good. So this is a new idea. b5. Interesting. g5. And so it looks like you're supposed to play knight h5. The computer likes knight e8 as well. I like knight h5. I mean, it distracts him. It blocks this h-file stuff. If he's going to take the pawn, he gets really sort of strung out. I mean, it looks playable for black. What do we do here? The computer found this amazing move, knight d7. That's really high caliber. Playing for knight e5. Like, hey, you can take my pawn whatever whatever way you want. I'm just coming with knight e5, and I'm gonna like set up tricks with bishop g4, tactics maybe, attacking the white king. So that looks more active. You played knight e8, no, knight d7. Yeah, obviously the drawback with this is obstructing here. White just takes a pawn. Okay, so white is just like up a pawn now. How much compensation do we have? At least if he took this way, we could chip away at his center with some kind of Benko thing. But I'm not sure how much compensation we really have here. I mean, long term, yes, his king is not safe. But we didn't shatter his structure. I'm thinking like, okay, what if he had played that? And what if you had taken this way? The difference is the f5. That was what the computer wanted to play. And this changes the dynamics a lot if we can play f5. I think this is the point. This getting f5 and opening up the game justifies black sacrificing that pawn. But maybe we don't have as much justification here after knight b5. Can we still play f5? How good is it here compared to the other position? It looks like e6 is bad because the base of our pawn chain just blows up. This isn't even an option, I would assume. So f5, how does this stack up? Better for, wow. It's just better for white, apparently, according to the engine. Maybe not so simple, but if we had our knight on h5, and then he takes, and then we play f5, so what's the point? Pawn takes, bishop takes f5. We have a range to that square, and those two bishops rape the queen side. Oh, f6, come on. Let's get serious. Don't let Ben Feingold hear you say that. Come on, guys. No f6. No, this looks different. I guess after this we have trouble finding counterplay. We just don't have any real counterplay. We're just kind of down a pawn, and white's rolling the dice with the king in the middle of the board. But a good player with white here will probably consolidate his position to a great degree and say you don't have enough compensation. That's the conclusion. This is not a great square. That's weird. White just like dropped a pawn. It's a sacrifice, okay? Yeah. As I said, like a good player here will consolidate. And that might be knight back to c3, you know, I don't know. There has to be a safe move for white, but I don't give you a pawn back for nothing. I understand his point, like bishop c3, he wants you to grab the exchange. And some semi-dangerous with h4, h5. I wouldn't take the exchange either. But after this, yeah, I agree, you got your pawn back. And I mean, like g5's hanging, you have breaks with this. Now all of a sudden, white has some space, but he's also kind of overextended. So let's say e6. That's what you did. Now I expected white to play h4. Instead he developed a piece. But maybe that's not, maybe his position is just too open. I mean, bishop d2 just wasn't well thought out for white. I did qualify what I said. I say a strong player will have the ability to consolidate white's position. Not an average player, but a very strong player who's a specialist in taking material and consolidating. Now I'm starting to like black. Because like we can get all the pieces in the game, right? They're going to filter through the e file. The white king is not safe. g5 is weak. The knight at c3 is unprotected. White has no safe place to put their king. Like, name a safe position for the white king in this position. Probably f1 a la Magnus Carlsen is the safest location if you play h4. Yeah, I don't like bishop a6. This bishop is just too good. Your knights are the problem. I mean, isn't bishop g4 strong? Now he has to play h4. And any sort of simple move, like knight d7, I think black is better. Actually, there you can just win a pawn like that. So I suspect let's check with the oracle. Yeah, bishop g4 or rook e8. This is a weird move. It feels okay, but it's kind of materialistic. Yeah, I mean, maybe white should just, like, castle or something. I don't know. It's hard to say, actually. I guess black's still better after bishop a6. Yeah, this is still better for black. So you have a nice trick there. Check, check, and take. And now black's just better. This pawn is weak. The white king is exposed. White is struggling for a draw. I don't see how he's going to save this d5 pawn. Theory says after g4, a6 is best. Theory. That's a vague pronouncement. Coach who is the word of God? Where did you find the stone tablet that pronounced the theory on g4? King g2, knight d7, rook b1. Usually there are different I mean, you're not talking about the Najdorf dude or some kind of poison pawn variation. Nobody has, like, seriously analyzed this line, probably. I mean, no one ever takes it seriously. I certainly didn't take it seriously. And I regret that. I should have taken it a bit more seriously. But I can't imagine, like, Vasilios Katronius sat around for hours and hours and analyzed, like, g4, worrying about it. You know that it's just not right for white. So now knight e5, wow. Yeah, that's over. Okay, so usually, unfortunately, usually Sadamasa sends in kind of like fast-paced games. This was a fairly fast game. Yeah, I mean, there's 15 games with a6. The legendary King's Indian expert, Gada Kamsky, played it. The only notable game there for me is the fact that Fedorov played it, because he was a renowned King's Indian player, but that's 1998. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think that it's necessary or direct enough. The computer is clear about it. You've got to strike now with c5. Not even a question. I mean, a6 is too slow. A6 is just too slow here. You're giving white a chance. It looks like this is critical. It's a tad slow. I wouldn't play it. With something like this, you have to go for c5. Alright, so Princess Chess. Next game. Cooking Rooks, Mr. Slow, Move 11. Thank you guys for the gift subs. Asterbait. Guys, tomorrow I'm going to be back playing Blitz. Friday Open Challenges from 11 a.m. CEST. On to Game 3. Princess Chess versus Terrapin, the turtle. Terrapin is known for his speed. Coach you have to play the Benoni when you play the King's Indian. There's at least like 5 variations where c5 is the best move. I don't know. I can't really understand what you're talking about. There might be like amateurs who think that you don't play c5 in the King's Indian, but amongst like grandmasters, you basically have to be able to play both. e4, knight c6, knight f3, e5, bishop c4, bishop c5, c3, mainline Italian game. Yeah, I mean, I like this. I think we saw this in Caruana versus Alexeyev, right? I said Alexeyev, Alexienko. They're too similar. So Caruana versus Alexienko was what move order? Like d6, bishop b3, h6? Wasn't this what we saw? And then he did something like bishop e6. It's all so confusing. There's so many different move orders. You're playing h3 here very early. That's where you stole it from, right? Right. No, it didn't happen like that. h3 is a normal move a little later, usually. So we can see it's very rare here. 174 games. I don't know what independent value it really has. I mean, black has given up on d5 ideas immediately. So you don't have to worry about that. That's a good thing. I guess truthfully, like there doesn't seem to be any problem with h3. There's nothing wrong with it, essentially. Although I don't think you should be worried about either knight g4 or bishop g4. So bishop e6, a4. Wow, okay, now we're really in like rare variation territory. This looks like some kind of acerbate. He likes to do the trick over here with like b4. Extremely unusual territory. Some people will play a5. Some people will play a6. Your opponent played a5, which gives up the b5 square. That I found to be relevant. You also have the option to play like knight a3. I remember there were some games in similar positions with Caruana. Yeah, using a4, but not in this exact position. I mean, basically, I'm a little skeptical because, like, already White has played h3 and now a4. You're doing both. It just doesn't seem... You know what I mean? Like, you're mixing apples and oranges on opposite sides of the board. It looks a little weird. Like, you have time for one slow pawn move, but, like, to make slow pawn moves on both opposite sides of the flanks, it feels a little bit weird. So now bishop g5, you basically combined every kind of weird variation of the Italian game into one. h6, bishop h4, I guess g5 can be played at any time now. This is a cautious move. I mean, knight here, knight here, knight here, knight here could be a plan. There's also knight c4, obviously, if you ever feel like moving your bishop. And then I would probably play g5. Though I think maybe it's better to do that without queen e7. I would assume. We played the standard method here, like knight h5. I don't really like this knight. This is why I don't play bishop g5. If white doesn't have some Petrosian-like way to make this bishop great again, I mean, maybe Mike Lindell can make this bishop great again with some pillow magic, but I don't foresee it. You know, this just doesn't look good. So I'm not a fan of bishop g5. That's a theoretical lemon. All right, bishop g5, h6, bishop h4. Black was afraid to play g5 because it's like stereotypically considered a weakening move. He actually does it a little bit later though. Queen e7. Oh, it's the weirdest thing. The ambulances here sound like the ghosts from Pac-Man. I started realizing there was this exact ambulance that makes the ghost Pac-Man sound when the ghosts are running around at like 1 minute in the 30-second period in original Pac-Man. There's this alarm sound. Wee wee wee. It's exactly the same sound. Bishop e6. Yeah, black played very soundly, and now you played queen b3. I think you should get together with Asterbait for the training in the Italian game. The Asterbait's moving on to the Vienna now. I see Princess Chess has a thing about, it looks like the d5 square. We're all about the d5 square, but bang, that's cutting out that bishop. Black played well here. g5, bishop e6, what? Exactly, Mr. Coffee. Theoretical Lemon. It's a TL. Alright. I don't understand. I've been kind of harsh on Princess Chess here, but I don't understand why we need to exchange here. Because I like him taking on c4. Like, if this, we're happy, right? I mean, that's good for us. I don't see why you're making that exchange. Why are you making that exchange on e6? Do you have some Nepomniachtchi like pawn sacrifice Alexeyev style with d4? Maybe she's going to do an Alexeyev Caruana pawn sack. In any case, why not just wait, and then you can decide next move what you want to do. But I mean, let's just get the bishop out of take and worry about what happens next. Right? It's not 100% clear what black's going to do. This bishop could become great again if speaking of Nepo, if he wins, does he have a real chance against Magnus Carlsen? I don't know. Like, somebody yesterday was saying how he has a lifetime, Sumaher was saying last time he has a lifetime winning score against Carlsen. There is that argument, right? That's a pretty good argument. I don't know what it's based on in terms of games. Playing matches is another story, though, you know. Nepomniachtchi has, like, no match experience. Like, long match experience. But it looks like he would definitely have a chance. If you think about back to Karyakin, he has to be at least as good a chance as Karyakin. And Karyakin was close. But I'd also like to see... Right, a lot of them are from many, many years ago. Yeah, Cheesemate is pointing out probably the truth. I'd like to see Caruana get one more shot, and then we'll let him hang up the cleats after another loss. Really, he didn't lose. I mean, he tied the match. As far as I'm concerned, that's what happened. I don't count rapid chess. You know what? Screw it. Let's just do it this way. No rapid chess. If the match is tied, then it's Magnus keeps the title. Why do we have to waste time with a silly, really, really annoying Magnus playing rapid chess? A tie, the world champion keeps the title. What's the problem? You know, let's just do it that way. That's totally normal. It has a tradition steeped in history. It's completely acceptable. Whatever, 24 games, if it's a tie, Magnus is still the champ. You gotta beat him. So, this rapid crap is just like a sideshow. Anyway, Princess Chess played, bishop takes e6, giving black control of the d5 square. Here, correct. Bishop g3. Now, Princess Chess is threatening knight c4 And sometimes the d4 type of make your bishop great again type of thing. Once Zen Chess got in a break like that against me. So let's think about this. How serious is knight c4 threat? I think they just call it a draw, man. I don't want to see Fabiano getting slaughtered by Magnus in bullet tiebreakers or something like that. It's ridiculous. The point is, like, Fabiano drew the last World Championship match. He tied the match and lost in the sideshow tie breaks. But the loser goes to the champ. I mean, the tie goes to the champ. Alright, anyways, Black played this horrifying move. Ugh. I get it, though. I get it. Something's not right about that move. I'm sorry. I understand Black's protecting the b7 square so that on knight c4 the bishop can move and it's protected, but it creeps me out. You're just like gonna get blasted by d4, making that bishop great again. Actually, Princess Chess played a kind of crazy castles queenside here. I think just d4. I mean, honestly, like, d4 looks really strong. Black has to take. And I mean, there's all sorts of possibilities here. Alexenko, like, sacks. Just recapture with a knight, for example, looks good. White seems better. I mean, this move abandons the center. You got a serious issue when you move the knight d8 here. I mean, this is important, man. Was it Mr. Coffee recently said, I like to control the center? I'm really big on the center. Alright, let's look at knight h5. Look at the way, like, Fabiano sacked his b6 pawn. We can't sack a pawn here, though. We're not up a pawn to give back. But even this. Is rook a6 ridiculous? I know it doesn't look great, but... I'm still not 100% convinced by this. Okay, I hate knight d8. That's all I know. Okay, computer says... Wow, castle queenside is an option. Queen d7? The old queen trap. Queen d7, knight c4. And if you go in, you never come out, like the Roach Motel. Classic Roach Motel. It's standard in the Joko. Europeans don't know what a Roach Motel is. Probably. But so there's all sorts of different defenses, but this move just bites. Knight d8, losing control of the center, and then you castle queenside. Kind of committal. I think I like the fact that you can castle on either side here. But the most important thing is the center. I say we go. The old school. They don't have Roach Motels anymore. Mr. Coffee, are they like out of production? You don't want them being produced in the same place as COVID vaccines. That factory in Baltimore where they messed up the Johnson & Johnson doses was contaminated by old Roach Motels. Alright, no, seriously. Knight d8 is bad. Castle's queenside, huh? I like d4. Alright, anyway. Castle's queenside, it's a move. Knight d7, knight c4. We didn't strike in the center. Are you planning on playing d4? There it is. Stopping knight c5. Black missed their window. Mr. Window. Take, take. You gotta love the center here. And development. Look at the greatness of this bishop on g3. Black castled kingside. I think they were rolling random dice to decide like where to castle. I like the f-file though. Now you played e5. Okay, this is an extremely complicated position. But clearly white is slightly better. I'm gonna like cop out and say white is slightly better. It's a sharp position now, opposite side castling. Even h4 might be an option. I mean, this is nutty. What's your best move here? Rook e1 is solid, you know, obviously. But knight e3, I wouldn't have found that. How about h4? Can we get an analysis of h4? So g4 is too good. Can we go deeper? Apparently this shuts it down too much. Pretty natural. Alright, I'll buy it. h4 is too early. So you played this. Committal. How's your bishop doing? Make your bishop great again. That's not the easiest way to do it. d5. You better play h4 now. Black has an explosive c5 coming. Oof. I like how this is a draw in 4 moves. Are you kidding me? This is like the most sharp position ever. c5, knight g4, total chaos, queen g7, and obviously h4 is exceedingly dangerous now. This has to be strong. It's a total build-up, and you can't keep it locked up. What happens if h4? Is white just winning? White is close to winning after h4, dude. This is extremely strong. You missed it. I wanted to play it last move before it was even sound. Now you have to play it. Instead she played this. Making your bishop great again. That bishop is definitely a Republican. Knight f6 check. E takes f. Queen takes f6. And okay, so somebody offered a draw. I mean, white just kind of sacked a pawn for what here? What exactly do we have? Unclear. Neither king is really safe. I don't know. I'm thinking that black might be better. Yeah, black is better. It looks like. The bishop, though, can win the pawn. I found the Stockfish 13 is coming up with awesome positional exchange sacrifices and stuff. Here's c4, queen e3. Check this out. Check it out, Wendy. See, this is like amazing. Bishop b8. This is not a sacrifice. f8 is poisonous due to this. Alright, anyway, you both chickened out in a very sharp position, Princess Chess. I don't even know who's better there. But you had him dead to rights with h4. That's a move that should have been fairly obvious. I know that you don't like rook pawn moves. Unlike Warnacki, your friend, I bet Warnacki would have found it. It's like the, isn't h4 somehow related to a5? It's the mirror image on the other side of a5. Yeah, both of you are chickened out. Alright, so we got now game 4, Mule Skinner. Mule Skinner must be black. It's a French. Mule Skinner, one of our longest following followers, and one of the players we had the most games against. But he hasn't been around the stream much lately. He used to play frequently. Over 200 games. So this is a game that Mule Skinner played with black in an over-the-board match. I think his opponent is only rated something like 1,200 FIDE. My understanding is that 1,200 FIDE is anywhere between 500 and 2,000. And you just have no clue, like, what you're going to get, for the most part. When you play a 1,200 FIDE, you might get a 500 if you're lucky, but it also might be a 2,000 strength player. You just kind of roll the dice and hope that you don't lose like 30 rating points for drawing a 1,200 who plays like a 2,000. I'm glad that I don't play anyone who's rated under 2,000 for the most part. So E5, C5, C3. Life is like a 1,200. I like the old days when there was no one rated under 2,200. You had to be 2,200. It was like a snob. FIDE ratings were snobist. You had to be a master to even have a rating. That was the real deal. I have been joking about this. My first FIDE rating was 2330, and my current FIDE rating is 2329. So after having a rating for 30 years, I've lost 1 point. It took me 30 years, but I managed to lose a point. After c5, knight c6, knight f3, knight on g to e7. So this is something that I've seen from some people. I think Mr. Coffee likes this. This is probably like a main line, though. I don't know. I mean, the problem is if you play the standard queen b6, they'll do the what's it called? Milner-Barry. Someone on Sound, for example, isn't here. He hasn't been here for a while. But he likes the Milner-Barry with white. I mean, it's probably like not a problem if black is really well, prepared, but I don't know. I haven't really put the more work into it. I think knight h6 is interesting. Because I play, some of you who know me better might know that I do this for fun. I'll play knight h6. This is my own invented opening. Knight h6 and d5. What I call the 3 a.m. defense. Sorry, I forgot its name for a second there. The 3 a.m. defense. When we play the 3 a.m. defense, we're hoping that white bites this knight on h6. Like, the entire idea behind the whole opening, if you'll call it that, is to trick white into thinking that bishop takes h6 is a good move. It's not that bad, but it's not the best move, I'm sure. So I like the knight h6. I'm kind of partial to that. Modern theory with knights on the side of the board, like in the King's Indian with knight a6, knight h6. Tezek, you'd be surprised by how many people love to chow on that bishop on h6. They just can't control themselves. A lot of people will take on h6. Trust me. Look at this. You got Alexander Arashenko, Leonid Yudazin, like real players playing bishop takes h6. Some people, they just can't help themselves. They're like, oh, doubled pawns. I would give my left ankle for doubled pawns. So I don't know. 97 is solid. What happens like if white does this? I really don't have a clue. For example, you play knight g6, you get the e5 pawn, you're going to let him keep this one. I have no idea. I'm not a French player. What does that result in? Here's a game, Hanfi versus Moskalenko from 1989. Velimirovich did it with white too. Does anybody know, Muleskinner, we're doing your game now. Does anybody know what the analysis of this is? I would be like freaked out with either side. I don't know which is better. That's an unusual possibility because of the move order with 97. Anyway, hold on a second. Bishop d3, bishop d3. Okay, Mr. Coffee's been here, right? I had another student, I think, who played this. Actually, maybe one or two. I've had maybe three French defense playing students in recent years who face this kind of line. Are you supposed to exchange first or not? And then play knight f5. And then this. And then we're going to get something very similar to what we saw in that first game today. But as I've told a lot of people, the idea is that you want to make sure that white doesn't get in bishop g5 and trade the dark square bishops. The Goiju game, where he got the dark square bishop exchanged, like ruins black's entire chance to have decent position. If you get this kind of position, the golden rule is you do not let white trade your dark square bishop off. You must keep the bishop pair on the board. You must keep control of g5, and you must play for this idea of active counterplay with g5. And I think that black is okay. In fact, I'm not even sure, like, objectively, I like playing bishop takes f5 if I'm given the option to not take it. But instead you play this first. Okay, I don't know. Yeah, this allows him to play d takes c5. And then that's different. Though black has fewer games here, the score is okay. I don't necessarily trust the fact that Westerinen played it. He made a draw with coolouts. That's impressive. He's like 200 points lower rated. There's some decent players who play this position well. It looks like by far this is the main line, taking first. So knight f5, allowing this, then what do you do? Bishop c5. Black's score here is okay. I would think that white would be slightly better. Well, I mean, it's a big question whether you should make that pawn exchange or not. It really is. I know. I mentioned that your opponent is 1200, and I told the stream that means that he's somewhere between 500 and 2000 strength. But nobody really knows. You never know what you're getting with a 1200. Especially if they're, with less than 50 games. Now we have a transposition. Anyway, this looks standard. White plays knight takes d4. Kuprejcik, who was an expert. Kuprejcik had his own systems, but had a great understanding of chess. I trust him if he plays knight takes d4. cd4 could transpose, it does. So bishop e7, knight c3, bishop e6. You got to keep this under control. So now the main move is knight e1, apparently. And I'm playing g5. Yeah. Kuprejcik Sicilian with bishop d7, of course. This is the whole basis for this thing. It's not enough to play the opening okay, Mule Skinner. You have to kill, annihilate, and destroy 1200s. You cannot give him a second chance here. Yeah, I agree with G5. But the problem is, like, if you play, I would have probably played H6, but then White can't play H4. I mean, H6 is good too. You know, maybe there's an advantage in not playing H6 though. Clearly, White's move order is a mistake. I mean, this is the point. You got Queen H5 here. If you play G5 now, I'm not so sure. Wow. Schiebler and Visser. There's some real players who play G5 even after 91. Yeah, it's interesting. What about H4? It's not possible, right? You're just hanging a pawn. Could there be some basis for sacking a pawn? I don't think so. It's not enough. Yeah, Short played it in 1983. I think it was like his first French defense. There's a lot of games with A3. And it looks like, wow, 2019. Zaragotsky managed to hold a draw against Kovalenko. Wow, not easy to do. I still like G5. Yeah, this is the way to go, dude. You got to go with G5. Bishop E3 is particularly bad because that bishop is going to get hit by those pawns as they come down. Your bishop pair is going to matter. Your bishop's going to matter. All bishops matter. They're not people, they're bishops. So, G5, F4, and your white square bishop appears in the game. That's important. Isn't that like the best part of this? We actually have a bishop that functions like the make your bishops great again from last game. Isn't it wonderful? If we can play F4, we're going to have a bishop that actually moves somewhere over there. Anyway, okay, let's see what you did. Bishop E3, you did G5. This is the second time today. Like, I'm like going on a huge tangent, and I'm waiting to say, okay, so Mule Skinner played castles, and then you ended up playing G5, which is the right move. Nice job. 92, F4. Light square bishops matter. The LSB. Yeah, you have to mess up those 1200s. Think of it as a good king's gambit. These pawns. You know, you still have to be careful though. I guess you should probably consider castling, putting your king on H8. Or maybe castling queenside. There's even the possibility of F6 and leaving your king on F7. All options are on the table. What I really like for you here is not telegraphing what we're going to do necessarily. Queen D7 looks interesting because that could enable castling queenside. It also gives you this. Maybe just mobilizing the back rank. I like this as non-committal. Options castle either way. Exactly. Like this king could end up over here, it could be over here, or it could be on F7. The only thing you're not doing is like putting your king on D7 now. So that looks good. You know, you have a white square bishop, he doesn't. And that's what your big advantage is. That's why it's not just any bishop, it's super bishop. This is a superhero, right? It doesn't exist. White doesn't have a white square bishop. This bishop is possibly the most valuable minor piece on the board. It went from the worst to maybe the best. If he can just like dominate the white squares here, it's extremely strong. This is advanced sort of positional thinking. Rook c8, okay, it's a normal move, but you do rule out castling queenside. That might be a little routine. Queen b6 also feels a little routine. You know, you are playing a 1200. If he's really a 1200, you should be able to beat him with like just kind of good endgame technique and doing nothing special. So maybe you didn't want to take risks against this kind of player. This is funny, man. He played king d7. I had just said like that's right. It blocks your king. I never expected this. I mean, it's possible you still come to regret this move. Sorry, if this knight were to get into c5, now you have the classic knight a5. Not appropriate here. This is weird, man. You played rook a c8 and then you played rook c g8. Completely changing path. Yeah, this is weird. And I don't see what you're doing. Because you can't play g4 without loosening the f4 quite a bit. I'll go, maybe it doesn't matter. I guess he's not evacuating out. There comes the knight c5. And now what? If g4 you lose a pawn. How about h4? h4, h3. h4 looks decent. I don't know about this move. I guess it's not bad. You practically forced him to make a reasonable move, f3. There is the white square. But there's knight b3, knight c5 now. He doesn't find it. I'm finding it. I'm not that sure about this. I mean, I think it's unclear. I don't like the way you played it very inconsistently, like rook c8, king d7. I want to keep the options open for as long as humanly possible and not give my opponent any information. So here the computer says it's equal. You've got like move 20 against a 1200 and it's equal. That's not the greatest, but hopefully you'll grind him down in the ending. Rook c1. Wow. That's your king there, just so you know. He's not like on h7 or something. This is fairly open over here. Is this going to win a pawn? We're just winning a pawn? Yeah, he should have played that last move. Do you still have it last move? It's different, right? Knight b3, a5. He just checks. Yeah, he should have played that. Alright, this is game. This is game. Check. Our king is not happy here. It was a weird game. And this, I'd be freaking out right now. Like, oh my god, how many points am I going to lose if I offer a draw to this 1200 and he takes it? That would be what I was thinking right now. I'm starting to have doubts about your position. If it gets real bad, you got to start thinking like, okay, if I offer the 1200 a draw, there's a good chance he'll take it. And if I offer him a draw, if I get a draw, I only lose half as many rating points as if I lost to him. You got to start thinking like maybe like risk management. At some point, like Right before it gets out of control, be prepared to offer the draw to the 1200. It's hard to judge though, like where the margin is. Just before it's completely lost and he realizes he's winning. That was what, who was it? Arthur Bisgeier said. The secret was to never let your opponent know that he's winning. So bishop e6. It's definitely a shaky game. But this somehow doesn't feel right. a4. That's not the move. a4 is not the ticket here. You kind of stopped offering draws usually negatively affect me. When they do not take it, then I overpress. Well, obviously, like, the reverse is true. Sometimes you offer draws to people that you know will never take it, so that, you know, you can make them overpress. Like, you should offer draws to better players who you know won't take it when you're, like, equal, to make them angry, or something like that. Strategic a draw offers. But a4 is wrong. I think he has compensation here. What's the move, though? Like rook a1 or something? White has to keep it fluid so that his pieces can filter in over here if you try to do anything. I'm guessing maybe rook a1 or something like that. I don't like how many open lines there are on the queen side, considering your king is on e8 and your rook's over there and there's no pawn storm yet. This is really creepy. So, a b4. I was actually thinking rook a1. King f8 is best after rook a1. It's pretty funny. Okay, you can play h4, h3, but then king f8, and you're just kind of hanging out. But a4 is a howler. This is a real bad move, because now you can keep the queen side closed. Let's start counting material. Wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, we have more pawns than he does. And now he played a4. So now all you have to do is like keep it closed, and we have a crushing passed pawn on b4. Does rook a1 lose a pawn? I didn't think it was that simple. Loses a pawn? You want to like take here? Wait, that drops a queen. That's not what you meant. What did you mean? This? Oh, dark square opposite-colored bishops? That could get creepy. That's an altogether different idea, man. No, you could be like in big trouble now. If you let this get opposite-colored bishops and the dark squares start opening up with your king on e8, you could be like crucified here. No, you don't want that pawn. I think you want him to take your white square bishop. But a4 is insane. Now he's just completely screwed his position. Now it's all locked up. You have a crushing passed pawn. Never really got the pawn storm going. What? What? My name is what? Queen h6? Where is your king again? Can I put my king on h7, please? Wow. It would be nice if you could play h4, h3. But aren't you getting attacked by queen b4? You have just b6. He has queen b5 check. I am freaking out, man. Queen b4. What are we doing here? He did not play this move, but what is it? This? Check? I don't really like this. King here? Knight check? I don't think I like the way this is going. This king is not really a happy camper on f8. Maybe I'm missing a tactic or something. Bijak, we're not there yet. So this seriously got messed up. Yeah, after queen b4, man, he's back in the game. Queen h6 was terrible. Maybe you got a little cocky at this point. You know, I feel like you... Let me go back a little. I think you had a winning position. It's tricky. I guess this is alright. What went wrong here? I mean, maybe... You know, you ought to just get your king to a safe position. I think you got kind of overconfident, essentially. Right about now. I think you're winning, but you need a very concrete plan that involves making your king safe long term. And you just didn't really secure it. So he was totally in it, but then played this. I mean, even just king f8 would be a step in the right direction. You went back, knight b4, bishop e6, knight d3, b6, queen b5 check, hide, and it looks like you've got it under control, or not. I mean, still knight c3, bishop c3, also threatening bishop b4 here. Wow, yeah, this is a 1200. I am very concerned. I am concerned about black here. Your center is like melting down as we speak. The what? Wow. It's almost like Mr. Slowhand style. Maybe you're playing the wrong opening. Maybe you should be playing like the King's Indian or something. Yeah, this got way out of control. So it looks like white has like knight g1. Probably, you know, he like tied his rook down to defending. Maybe that's better, to tie the knight down as a less valuable piece. It looks like you have ideas, though. You have stuff. I don't know if it's enough. Your knight is hanging. You're probably lost. Damn. Yeah, you're lost after knight g1. You're lost after rook f1, too. But I mean, my opinion of this game is that it's lost. That's not what I was trying to say, though. What I feel... Oh no, you're kidding me, right? He blunders mate with bishop f3 and queen c1. Poor guy. Like, white's winning 100 different ways. What, rook c1 check? Is it not a win? There's no mate? Is there no mate here? Seriously? I mean, bishop d6 is over, right? Yeah, all he has to do is play bishop d6. That's game over. Oh man, so he just like did this, and poor guy. But my feeling is that you were totally unclear, and then all of a sudden you got overconfident. I mean, that in between stage there, where you were just like knight c4, knight e3, your king's just sitting on e8 in the middle of the board while the queen side is like getting opened up. I mean, you were massively overconfident. So there were two stages where you actually misplayed this game. Lucky escape. It was a long game. Alright, so next up is Iobates. We've got an hour left. Well, I mean, basically, Mule Skinner, what you have to realize is when you're playing a beginner, less experienced player, you don't have to beat them in a brutal way. Like, mostly I'll just like grind them down in king and pawn in games without risk, you know. Try a little bit in the opening, but don't have to go crazy, you know. King d7 was really over the top, I think. All right. Got to make sure the king is safe long term. So Iobates, this was the H file, the attack on the H file game. Knight f3, e6, and then c4. Iobates was expecting the London, but it didn't materialize. So now you're playing some kind of weird opening. Mule Skinner, thanks for being part of the stream and subscribing. So g6 now. So this is going to look like some kind of Bologan King's Indian one knights tango hybrid. Can you do a one night tango? It sounds like risky business. E4, bishop g7. I mean, if white really wants to go for it, he'll try to blast you with d5 here. That's what the average 1200 would do to me. Let's see, knight c3, d6, and now we're getting closer to the two knights tango style positions. But this knight isn't on f6. That's Iobates' big thing. He can't stand to play the King's Indian with his knight on f6. So he has to try every weird way of avoiding. It's not the King's Indian, man. It's the King's Indian style pawn play without knight on f6. Bishop e2, e5. All right. It's a modern. But white's setup, you know, while it looks good, I mean, I'm pretty sure here we're gonna see takes as a recommendation of the engine. Let's check it out. No, it's up there. What'd I say? It's takes 1.7. It took it a while to figure it out. I see things much more quickly than Stockfish 13. It's just the problem that a lot of things that I see are blatantly not there. But basically, yeah, takes is the key move, and this is a very bad endgame, I guess. How bad is it, though? There are traps. Knight takes, knight d5, knight e6, knight g5. This is a huge problem. Undermining control of c7. If you add one more tempo, you'd be alright. But it looks like that's kind of line that busts you. So you have to do like king takes, and then you're just like suffering with a knight that you love so much, blocking your c-pawn from going to c6. White is slightly better here. But it takes an advanced player to know that actually, you know, what would normally be a lame move in a normal King's Indian is white's best move in this position. Well, no, you don't have to take with the pawn. I understand. But after knight takes c5, white is slightly better. I mean, you have what looks like a normal classical King's Indian, where basically you gave up your center. It looks like he took on e5, but actually you took on d4. It's just your imagination. You're the one that gave up the center. But, I mean, objectively, like, okay, white is slightly better. It's not so easy. But I agree, that's better. Knight e5. This ending is not as bad, like, if he takes here. Like, take... This is probably defensible for black, I would imagine. So white should keep the pieces on. It's also possible to play knight d4 and pretend he's playing He's pretending he's playing a classical King's Indian where black like traded on d4. All right. But anyway, he plays this, and so it is possible to play knight d4. I mean, this might be a good move. I sound very sure about it. But I suspect that we need to take a serious look at this. So let's see. Knight d4, pawn d4, knight b5. Unfortunately, we can't play queen f6. You can play c5. You're getting hammered by bishop f4 and groveling for your life. Although maybe that holds on. I have my doubts. You can always sack a pawn. I think this is good, right? Knight f6. Knight f6, and then white to move. What does he play? f3, weakening the structure slightly. Let's see. Clear advantage to white. Computer's not buying this. Buying it a little bit after c5. All right, c5, take, take, take. We're down a pawn. This kind of stuff happens in the same-ish variation sometimes, but it looks like we just don't have quite enough. So knight d4 is not good enough. Conclusion. Queen takes is bad? Yeah, queen takes probably is playable. It's probably playable, but it looks like black will have active counterplay. There's going to be issues with this pawn. We're going to be able to put a lot of pressure on the pawn quickly. It's not as good. It's not as good. And black's just better. I mean, black's just worse. Alright, so you have to play. It looks like you have to play it. It's passive, but this. He likes the structure. Actually, come to think of it, like, this might be a known position. It might be theory. Maybe, like, modern theory. Maybe this is even a move now, c5. Right? Mango, I'm trying a trial cider, mango and lime cider. I'll let you guys know how it is. Smells interesting. I got a free sample. Love myself some free samples here. So if you want to send anything my way, I will taste test it here on the stream. Cider taste testing. In addition to chess streaming. I'm thinking c5. And you really want to take that pawn. If you take the pawn, you get whipped with the bishop e5 check. Maybe he even like waits a move before he pulls that out and just castles with the idea of bishop e5. Alright. Anyway, c5 is a move. Unfortunately, white does not have g4, which would be another idea. Castle. Lame. h6. Still might not be too late to try to sack a pawn here with c5. Engine's loving it. Ooh, it just loves it. This is crushing. But they don't know that at the 2171 level. They would have to have studied a book to find the move c5, and very few people know what a chess book is. You'd be very surprised. So c5, he plays b4 instead. Alright, as much as I'm making fun of him, this is close to the right move. However, black would have a5, right? Yabatis has been willing to play this kind of move in the past. It's worthy of considering. By the way, if you play knight f6 now, what is this? You're a tempo down in the King's Indian? Yeah, if you play knight f6, you're one move down in a classical King's Indian. Obviously not a good move. I told a story how the Weed Master, my friend, did that once, and he ended up playing like h5 and bishop h6, which was just really weird. But maybe b4 a5 is the way to go. Try to break him up. If bishop a3, yeah, that's probably white's best move there. Take, and then b6, but he's going to come down with this. It's just a matter of time. You're basically playing a bad bayonet King's Indian, where you're slower than usual, because of h6 in particular. We're exposing all the holes, and your setup is full of leaks. Castles, h6, b4, f5. All right, this is the other possibility. Maybe it's better than a5. Maybe a5 is just bad. True. All right, I agree. f5 is better than a5. c5. So this guy has a clue. Knight f6. And then the old checkaroonie on b5. Looks interesting. There's also queen a4 check. These moves need to be considered. If bishop e5 check, maybe less committal than the queen. I was just thinking queen a4 check, bishop d7, bishop b5. But black has now c6. I guess this is fine, though. You just take and play here. Or not. Okay, this is getting a little complicated. What's happening here? Very complicated. I'm not sure. So I think this is a critical position. Let's see what the computer wants to play. Knight d2, like a true bayonet King's Indian. This is crazy. You're going to transpose to a bayonet King's Indian down a tempo if you castle. Or not. You actually saved your tempo now because you played f5 quickly. This is weird. I don't know who's I don't know who's gaining a tempo here or losing a tempo anymore because you've played f5, sort of snuck it in there without moving your knight. It's very weird. You're going to transpose to some kind of mainline King's Indian, possibly, in that position. So check. Let's do the check. What do you play? See, c6 is not an option. You have to either put the bishop in the way or move your king. And I assume you would probably do that. But white's loving it when they trade the white square bishop because they don't get mated now in the normal King's Indian as easily. White should not get mated if the white square bishop is traded off in the standard kind of King's Indian attack. Anyway, let's see what happened. He did bishop e5 check. What is going on? This happens every game. I already know what's going to happen before I see the move. How is that possible? a5, no. So you play king f7, which is a practical move. King f8, whatever. Actually, that's a good question. I think I like king f7 better. Why f8 rather than f7? I mean, would you have this? Does that matter? Does clearing the back rank matter? I mean, your king's closer to white, but it doesn't interfere on the back rank. This is risky. Rook e1, okay. And then f4, closing the king side. So he plays engine number 1 move, a4. Good move. You got bishop a3, rook a3, all this King's Indian stuff. Moving the pawns down. Grabbing space. Who cares about safer, though? We're playing for an attack here. I mean, is safer really relevant right now for your king? I don't know. It's not like it's going to matter. I'm really not sure. Is your king safer on f7? Maybe not. But does it matter? g5, knight d2 now. Knight g6, f3, g4. I'm going to turn off this computer. a5 was recommended for white. You know, you did manage to keep the white square bishop on the board. And that was a good practical decision. Bishop f1. And now you went in an unconventional style with rook g8. But this is a very unconventional King's Indian. I mean, normally we would be castled and our king would be on h8 and our rook would maybe move from f8 to g8. Now you're playing rook g8. Knight c4. He's trying to build up on d6. We could play knight e8. You attacked instead. King h1 is obviously an option. A very important one. This is a normal idea. And now takes on f3. Oh. Committal, though. There's no more g3 once you do that. This better work. It looks like you might have knight f3 check and like bishop g4 or something crazy. You have knight g4. The old rook a2, river guarding rook, will defend. This bishop on h8 is extremely good defender. Knight h5. Threatening. Big fat noob. You are a noob. Queen g5. This could be a problem. I don't think he saw that idea, which is pretty obvious, actually. I was wondering about this, but this isn't good enough. There's the lateral defense, I think. I mean, it's close. It's interesting. There's stuff like this. Maybe almost works, but not quite. I like your knight h5 with ideas of here. Now it's over. Is it not? Actually, it was weird. Like, Yabatis told me this was the H-file attack, but I think that's a G-file. Have I been misled? I feel misled, almost like deceived or something. Very disappointed. I was expecting an H-file assault, and it all turned out to be the G-file. That's like false information, fake news. All the pieces on the H-file. Just two, really. Okay, this, if you call that a piece. You're playing bishop odds. Oh, now I get it. Now it's a little different. He played bishop h3. Oof. Now, wait a minute. Can we mate with the pawn here? Doesn't work. I wanted to mate with the pawn. That is kind of painful. Alright, good game. Very nice. Guys, we've got a bunch of games. I got about a half an hour to go through these. Aster Mate is next. How much time do we have left? 40 minutes. Alright. 40 minutes. Aster Mate playing white. Good game, Yabatis. Aster Mate with white. It's e4, c5, knight f3, g6, b3. No, Aster Mate is black. Now I understand. Welcome to the stream, guys and girls, everybody. We're going over subscriber games. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. CEST for Blitz. Friday's open Blitz challenges. Sunday, I'm going to be hosting my weekly simul here with Hype Train. Maybe. B3. All right. I'm trying to think if anyone's ever played this against me. It's weird. Very, very rare that I faced this move. Strangely. Yeah, I guess it's not strange. It's just like you're first to the diagonal. It just doesn't make sense. So, I think I did have a game, now that I think about it, with knight f6. There was a funny game where somebody played this against me, and I played knight takes e4, just winning on the long diagonal. Then there was a subsequent game where someone played this, and of course that. So white has to play either this or this. But, you know, now I also like the way you played it. With knight c6 makes a lot of sense. You're bearing down on d4. Maybe at the end of the day, knight f6 is just kind of a cheapo, and we're better off focusing on the weak square on d4. Knight c6, bishop b2. I mean, if he does trade off your bishop, it's possible that your king side will be slightly weakened later. I feel like I've looked at this Wang Yi versus Bu Yanqi game. I don't know who white is, but I'm sure that I did notice this game prior. What should black do here? Lots of options. I mean, d6 looks solid. I am a little concerned about this, but maybe there's nothing he can do about those squares. Like, let's say white plays something like queen c1, knight e7, knight here. That doesn't look really happy. Can we, like, self-mate? Yeah, self-mate. I've been practicing my self-mate positions today. Or bishop f8. So we got to be a little careful of those weaknesses. Notice no one played e6 in this position. Queen c1 is probably a decent move. Anyways, Aster mate played knight f6, threatening knight takes e4. And so you see, this is how the Bu Yanqi game went with knight d5. I think I had games like this already. I castled, they took on f6, then I didn't know whether to take with the bishop or take with the pawn. The computer recommends e takes. This is how Bu played it. Bu is not a bad player. I think we should follow his advice. But I feel like maybe there was a better way to play it altogether at the end of the day. Like, there's one player who played this. I'm also not convinced. So in retrospect, I mean, maybe this move is really worthy of consideration. What do we think about d6? Yeah, remember Bu, what did he do? He beat him in the World Cup, right? He beat Carlsen. He knocked him out of the World Cup. Very impressive. I mean, he's one of the first modern, like very modern Chinese generation grandmasters. Extremely good. He's been around forever now, like 20 years. He's been a GM for a long time, like since I've been in IM, or almost that long. I like d6. It looks pretty solid. So you walked into this, he plays bishop c4, and now snaps the pawn. No. What about this? Can you show me why this isn't good? Can you please explain? Please explain yourself. I want the free pawn. I guess he could play this. I mean, whatever, you know, it's a pawn, getting a pawn back. If you take this, it looks kind of dangerous. Objectively, black might be winning, but it's not so easy. I'd be a little concerned that the white has good practical chances here. Sack f7, then check with the queen. Say what? You mean... Wait. Check with the knight, you mean? You mean like this? You can do this. But there is no queen anything yet. Anyway, it's probably working for black, but he didn't want to worry about it, so he castled. It does look like white has knight 95 again. h4 is also dangerous. He played knight g5, but I mean this move is not a developing move. A horse is a horse. We are ready to rumble now. I mean, I think that e6, d5. The wing attack must be met by a strike in the center, and that's exactly what we're setting up now. e6 starting in d5, and this is rolling up. Black's going to play d5, but Astrobate was too slow now. You played a6. Dude, you just got to hammer him with d5 here. I mean, this has got to be good for black. It's not winning, but it's good. It's definitely good. If he just keeps going forward like a maniac, I mean, we're going to win a piece. I don't believe that is enough. You're not going to convince me that white has a winning attack there. And if he trades, he opens up the file, which is extremely dangerous with this king in the center of the board. So Astrobate, you took a liberty here with a6. White should probably just go h5 and try to crash through as fast as humanly possible. But I mean, come on now, g4 is ridiculous. You still should hit him in the center, but you're hitting him with the flank. Counter flank attack on the other side. Not as strong as opening up the center. You know, and I'm not sure that b4 is that great either. Maybe you'll end up winning a pawn. I don't see it. I really feel like you should hit him in the center still with d5. Always kill the flank attack with a strike in the center. You're just attacking on the other flank. It becomes a race. Now he makes a stupid mistake. I mean, clearly you got to play knight a4. He's got to play knight a4 and attack your c5 pawn. Keep you busy. I guess you're maybe winning h6. You're probably winning. Snapped his pawn. Takes. King takes. But winning is relative. You know, you're slightly better. Peter's like +3. Whoa. That's more than slightly better. That's a lot, dude. But, I mean, still, not easy to execute that position. But knight b1 is ridiculous. You can't play that. Now he finally hit the center. I mean, honestly, at this point, like, h6 is strong. You're just going to take his central pawn. He's a done deal. Maybe this. Okay. He's lost here. I think he's got to be lost. Take. Nice rook. Yep. He's lost. No development. Knight b1 was horrible. Now h5. Killing that center pawn. Alright, so which way do we take? There's no time for niceties of pawn structure. The problem, I mean, I would like to take with the h pawn so this pawn is not isolated. When you take this way, he has bishop c4 and pressure on your e6 pawn. It's not enough, but it's a little tricky. It's probably not enough. But like white makes a howler now. I mean, this has got to be the move, right? What's the deal now? You got to be a little bit careful here. Game is not over after bishop c4. You know, I wouldn't be surprised. The computer disagrees, but I wouldn't be surprised if this was a better move for you, HG. This is a fantasy, man. You're not getting mated on the H file. Ultimately, it looks scary, but, you know, is this queen going to magically come over to, like, H4? Or how exactly is it going to checkmate you on H file here? It looks scary, but I think in reality, it's something special. So, both captures were possible. But, I mean, this move is, like, incomprehensible. I mean, white has to play bishop c4. Now black has to be careful. But instead, the guy, like, gives up his darks for bishop. This, you're threatening mate in one, his knight is hanging, and his rook is hanging all at the same time. He's losing 3 different ways all at once, which is pretty cool. It's not easy to do that. You got to give him credit. Losing 3 different ways with one move. Knight h7, queen f2 mate. You can give up you can give up e6 and hide the king on h8, hopefully. All right. So Astrobate illustrating how to play with black in the Sicilian. We got Sumaher finally with white. We've got a Slav against FIDE Master Yarming. Losing with style. Like, why would anybody play bishop takes f6? That's basically like, oh, I want to take on h7. White is basically not considering that 3 of his pieces are hanging. So it's only about what he can do, not what the opponent can do. Ask yourself what you can do for your pieces. So c4, e6, knight c3, knight f6. This is Sumaher with white. The good old Rogozin. That was tasty. I like that. I recommend Summersby. Mango and lime. I am not an advertiser, but that was tasty. Mango and lime cider. Very delicious. I also like watermelon. Queen c2. Interesting. Actually, Sumaher plays the white side of the Nimzo with queen c2, so it's like, it's almost as if it was a Nimzo. How would we get this? d4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight c3, bishop e4, queen c2, castles, knight f3, d5. We have a transposition. It's considered to be a Queen's Gambit declined. Rogozin variation. But there is a chance it could transpose to the Nimzo. I like e3. I mean, e3 does transpose to the Nimzo. I consider this a Nimzo now, if white plays e3. I've played mostly queen a4 check. It's not much, though. Hungarian IM and trainer recommended this to me. Karoy, Tibor. But I don't think that it's that great. I mean, it's not clear. Most people play bishop g5 or cd5. I've played cd5 before. This is unusual, you know, and that might trip black up more. He's probably not faced this move before and doesn't really know what to do. So clearly the opening explorer is like, oh, you just take on c4. So this transposes to a kind of Vienna variation. Mamajarov Carlson, Mamajarov Lenich, Hari Krishna Giri. There's lots of games here. But again, it's like playing queen c2 in an unusual position. You confused black a little. So he castled. I'm trying to remember this now. Wasn't there some game we looked at with like CD5, C5 or something? Why am I imagining that this is a thing? This is not a thing. This is like losing a pawn. I saw something very recent, very similar. Weird. Dr. Tripchance, welcome. So, yeah, that's weird. I'm having some kind of strange hallucination. Maybe I'm thinking of a different position. So BG5 and now C5. Well, yeah, I guess we're in a Queen's Gambit territory here. We could transpose to a Vienna, or we could transpose to what's called the Manhattan variation. CD5. Actually, move 11 was playing this a while back. I am surprised there's only one game in this position. How is that possible? It looks like logical play by both sides. Tang versus these two internet punks. CD5, ED5, and we transpose back into a real line. But okay, black can play queen takes. Black can also play like CD4, can he? What the heck is going on here? Is this even good for you? Like, what happens after CD4? I'm a little concerned about our development, honestly. Andrew Jacobson, who's like magically a grandmaster now, very quickly. But what about C takes D? I mean, that looks to me like a stronger move. Yeah, it's the best move. These internet kids don't think about good moves, they just move fast. I think like by playing ED, black is transposing back into some sort of theory, but this is actually better. I mean, after knight takes d4, queen d5, you have two pieces hanging. What are you going to do? Lose the tempo? Or give up your bishop? Ooh, it hurts. Like bishop f6 hurts. Now it feels like a classical Nimzo again. But I don't think that white has anything here. I doubt white has anything here. There's this issue too. Like how do we move our bishop without dropping our g2 pawn? We'll have to be careful. Internet punks, they just play bullet chess and play the London system. But I mean, this is clearly missing the best move. So your opponent also missed it. Automatic recapture happens at every level. I think they're overrated though. The bullet freaks. So e takes d5, and now we're back into a Manhattan with e3. This is early too. There is the possibility of c4. Stopping bishop d3. Now that makes a lot of sense here. Now you can't develop actively. What did you do wrong? You didn't really do anything wrong. I mean, what the heck? Wait a minute now. Let me stop again. After c5, are you making a mistake now? Like maybe you're supposed to play d takes c5? My old friend Michael Hoffman. And somebody named Wesley So played d takes c5. I've never heard of him before. But he's a little stronger than those other guys. Seriously. This is important. This is really important. It looks like this is a big mistake. Like you're supposed to play d takes c5. And now it's not clear. What is this? A Queen's Gambit or a Nimzo? Serious, good question. This looks like it's actually better. Because this allows this capture on d4. There's a lot going on here. So you made a mistake. He made a mistake. Now you can still take on c5. And now we're in like Magnus Carlsen territory. This looks like Rogozin Magnus style. This is like very sharp style stuff. h6, bishop h4. Can't they go like g5? And now I want to hide my eyes. I don't know what's going on here. This is one of those ultra scary type of lines. Doesn't Nigel Short play this with black or something? There's some kind of queen f6. Aronian also plays black. Carlsen. There's all kinds of crazy stuff. This is extremely dynamic. I would be scared for both sides. Alright, so there was just this and he has c4. But, so he doesn't do it. He does this. Dr. Tripchance, did you miss your game? Yeah. Dr. Tripchance, I never got a game. Alright, so cd4, knight d4. Knight c6, bishop e2. Knight d4. What the heck is going on? Dr. Tripchance, did you send in a game? Please remind me. I mean, maybe we have to take ED seriously. This is equal. It's equal. We're out of there. So I think it's equal here, yeah. Okay, you did send in a game. Let me check my messages. Yeah, I forgot that one slipped by me. I don't know. I didn't realize it was submission. You just sort of sent me the game and I wasn't sure. Oh, it's chess.com. What am I going to do? That is crazy. Can we get a simpler explanation? Like, can you send me a PGN of that game? Because that's a mess. Whatever you sent me there. That's not acceptable format, Dr. Tripp. Unacceptable format. Yeah, but is that going to work with those crazy squiggles and analysis and stuff? You think that's going to be accepted in a lichess study? I don't know, man. I'm very skeptical. Look at that. You think that's going to accept that? I am doubting it. Let me see. Oh no. What did I just do? What have I done? What did I just do? Seriously, wait. Analysis board. Here, paste. Well, it actually worked. Oh no. We're not going to do that. We're not going to show how you mated the guy with 17 rooks. That's not cool. If there's a normal game in there, I'll look at it. But I'm not going to show how you checkmated somebody with 17 queens. Alright. Let's go back to our analysis. Where is our analysis board? Game, where are you? Alright, learn, study. I'm still mastering Chrome. So please bear with me. Game 7. Anyway. We got it. Game 11. So this is interesting. Rook d1. Your move is solid, but it's a draw. The reason why I call this a draw is because of the imbalance non-existing in the pawn structure. Likely to be a draw. Now we have a little bit of imbalance. Not enough, though. I mean, this should definitely be a draw if both sides play well. I was surprised by bishop f3. That's an interesting move. I don't know why. I was expecting you to play bishop d3 here. You're targeting their d5 pawn. I mean, at the end of the day, like, both sides have weak pawns on c3 and d5. It's a wash. Did Black really think that move out? I suspect not. This is a different story. If Black just loses a pawn for nothing, I suspect he's not okay. Yeah, I mean, Black just, like, dropped the pawn there. So bishop f5 was bad. I mean, it's not fun, but I think he just has to defend, like, pragmatically here. I mean, if we have to play bishop e6, we play bishop e6. You have to do what you have to do. I don't think that white is going to win this. Maybe he does have enough pressure. I mean, this c3 pawn is the key, though, isn't it? It's still not so easy. It's true. I mean, we're just going to lose this pawn here, and there's no way to attack c3. It's not clear what Black should do. He has to find a crafty move. I guess queen c6. Outside the box. Outside the box type of move. Not so easy to find. So this was too automatic. And then down a pawn. These two are dangerous. You don't want to lose that duo. Now you got me another game, Yubatas? Are you serious? You're switching on me? Why didn't we just accept his first one? I got it in the study and now you're looking for new ones? Alright, whatever. Make it more complicated. Rook a c8. Rook f e1. No, I mean, you got to keep this pawn if you want to win the game. I think this exchange is a draw. I don't know what this guy is thinking. I really don't understand. Rook takes c3. It's a simul. Anish, we're too late for that. You guys have to send in the games, be in the first 10. It's too late now. Rook fe1, queen g6, rook e3. Yeah, this is bad. So after rook c3, I think it's probably okay for Black. It's basically not enough to win. I mean, here you're up a pawn, but it's not a great pawn. But in the game, the way he plays it, he's like, okay, defend your pawn. This is excellent now. You keep the central duo. And you've got rook g3. And this is a good move, fully developing, preparing f3. He just did nothing with a5. So you've got f3 here. Looks very strong. Yeah. I guess you just went pawn hunting. No. So it's possible to grab another nugget with this move. Even. I guess rook a8 there. But I mean, the point is you have these pawns. But I would definitely go for f3. I'm not convinced this is winning, though, because now, if he can exercise pressure on the c3 pawn and take it out before you can get organized, he can save the game. So, what are we saying? Rook e7, for example? Rook e7, your king isn't very far from the center. And if pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn, rook takes pawn, well, that's a draw. Pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn, I don't know. I suspect this is a very tough ending, but holdable for black. And this is a problem if his king can't cross over. But it looks like you should probably play rook here, and then I guess king f6. Is this even winning? It's a draw. Oh no. Suddenly, it doesn't look good. Man, I don't know. Rook c1 was an exclamation point. Rook c1 is the engine #1 move. And suddenly it's not so easy. Suddenly white's just winning. Wow. Rook c4 looks shady. f4, rook e4, rook e4, f4, rook e4, rook e4, pawn e4, rook takes c3. That's close. But white really needs something here to win the game. But it's amazing. I thought that black was holding on, and all of a sudden, it looks like all of a sudden he was counting on like rook e3, but it doesn't work. He has this. And now he's like in Zugzwang. Some kind of weird endgame Zugzwang. With a great king and only one pawn down, and suddenly black is like lost. It's messed up. He's just totally lost. Yeah, I mean, you missed c4 check. That's calculation based. Probably in time pressure. h3. Maybe black could try king here? I wonder. King takes, check. King f3, king here. It's probably not enough to save the game. But it's worth a try. d5, king d2, rook h1, king c3, rook d1. Black just doesn't have enough counterplay fast enough. Amazing. So you took him to endgame school. This is over. Alright. 2 connectors, game over. Seen enough. That's ugly. Good game. Alright. So we got not a lot of time left. I only have like 30 minutes or less. How many games in the study? 3 more to go. Guys, don't forget, we're going to be back tomorrow. Tezake. Alright, Tezake is black. French. Knight f3, d5. And now a very interesting move. Bishop f5. I suspect I've seen this somewhere recently. You know, this makes a lot of sense. That's why I like, I've been playing this and this, and I've been playing sometimes this with white, trying to go into c4 based French exchange. This actually looks like a good move. Bishop f5. Why is this not good for black? You can still try c4. He should try c4 anyway. Exactly. So this has to be the best try. He tries to blast you open with c4. This is the way to try. I mean, I guess black is probably okay, but there are some weak points like b7. The fact that your king side is not developing. You're going with the bishop out first from the queen side. Normally that would be like black's last minor piece to develop in a French exchange. So this is really important for white here. That he punishes bishop f5 somehow. I mean, this is like very, very tiny advantage to white. Gata Kamsky. Antipov. Oh god. I did that game. That's why it's familiar to me. I knew I saw bishop f5 somewhere. It was what game that I did for chesslecture.com a couple of years ago. Gotta just like crush the guy. The guy tried to castle queenside or something insane. Absolutely crushed him. But you know, Antipov went nuts. I mean, this should be a kind of boring line where white has a micro advantage, objectively. This has even been played. Look at that. Sahis, Predrag Nikolic, Drashko, Rothstein, like tons of good players. Yeah, it's a little slow, but it looks like bishop g6 has a good score. What would happen if white played knight e5 here? Novelty. Bishop d6, knight g6, hg, you get the h file. I mean, something to think about. Yeah, I really like c4. But maybe that's just me. So knight c3, doesn't strike me as especially relevant. And this is just useless. I guess he really should play bishop d3, objectively. Okay, whatever, it's a position. The bishop is just in the way of the e-file here. You played correctly. Standard. Now, you can't castle because of rook takes e7. Bishop d3, rook takes d7. Alright, so big question here. I mean, is there really a reason not to play castles kingside? What would Timur Rajabov do? Castling kingside is a no-no? It depends. You know, I'm not sure it is, actually. It may not be a no-no here. Maybe a yes, yes. I mean, unfortunately, it's likely to be a draw. But you can only do what you can do. You have to be realistic. That's how Antipov got crushed by Kamsky. He tried to do crazy stuff, and he was handed his head. If you're stronger than your opponent, you can find a way to beat him in the equal position. But I don't think it's a correct move. He doesn't have knight g5. You have knight f6. You're fine there. It depends on who you're playing also. If you're playing a GM, a draw is great. If you're playing a 1200, no. You know, you might want to take chances against a weak player. But, you know, if you castle queenside, normally you probably don't want to play c6. Like the standard type of castle queenside plan is like with the knight on c6 and white playing c3. But even there, that's dangerous. So this is risky. I mean, white can open you up with the queenside pawns as well. It's not a one-way street. Bishop g5 looks like a mistake. This is just a bad move. I mean, he weakens your e6 square like slightly, but he also gives you control of e5 and enhances your pawn storm. There it comes on the queen side. There comes the classic. You know, if you go back to Alyukhin playing black in the Queen's Gambit or whatever this is, Exchange French, see similar ideas, but he got away with it, you know, because his opponents played weakly. Wow. I mean, h3 is nuts. So you can sack on g3 right away. This is... better for black, I guess, but tricky ending. I would just take right away. But he doesn't want to trade pieces, so this does look strong. Well, it would have been an ending that wasn't that easy. But you're going for something more long lasting, like permanent mate. Yeah, I saw this Grishuk game. But apparently it was sound, and he later like grabbed a pawn on d5 that didn't work. Looks like you have a strong attack here. So if he calls your bluff now with knight g4, we're going to see what happens. Your knight is hanging on e7. I guess that doesn't matter. Yep. What about king g2? I need to see king g2. Please. We're still going for a little bit longer. Last games. What's up with king g2? Wow, white's winning. White's winning after king g2, so this doesn't work. Oh my god. So the whole thing may be unsound. I mean, you can always just play rook g8 and wait. So this was, yeah, he didn't find it. And now you're okay, I guess. Yeah, I mean, that's decent. Now you can just go back, and his king is fried. Wow. So much for going back. Never mind. That's also an option. And he's like trading pieces. Okay, good resource. But his king is still not safe, and too many pieces on the board for his king to be like that. Check. Whoa. So he has to try king back to, I don't know, g1, but then you have rook g8, and you're winning. And that's it. Alright. Good practical game. Momentarily unsound. But the right idea. I agree, like, from the practical standpoint, this type of castling opposite sides, it can work. You have to be careful. Alright, so this is move 11. What do we got here? Only 71 moves today. Move 11 normally tries to find the longest game he ever played in his life and submits it to the stream. This is only 71. Thank you guys for supporting the stream and your donations today. Appreciate it. Alright, last two games. Move 11. D4, knight f6, c4, e6, g3, d5, bishop g2. And what am I doing? Hungry. Getting hungry here. Alright, guys and girls. We're down to our last games. I'm going to get some food soon. Alright, Catalan. Move 11 is black. Press the F key to flip the board. It's not working because it's being hijacked. Oh my god, don't do this to me. Here. Bishop e7, knight f3, castle, castle, d takes c4, queen c2. Main line, a6, a4, the trendy variation. Who is this against? Raleigh Marco 15. So there's just a game. This is the... Wasn't this just the other day, this variation? Is the main line now. Mate is fun. Queen c4, bishop c6, knight c3. And now what? b5. I think the one time I played this position, I played bishop g5 against Savely Golubov. And then I brought it back, the queen to c1 eventually. We had like bishop d5, queen c1. This is like, man, like 3 years ago. My last first Saturday GM tournament. Bishop g5 is safe. And it's not clear where this knight wants to go. You know, I mean, oftentimes it goes to d2, b3. So I don't know about committing it there. Knight c3 has been played, obviously. Anatoly Karpov, 1994. So here you have b5. Press the any key. So obviously if you take, you lose a rook. Queen d3. There is a strategic problem. I mean, black needs to play c5 to free his queen side. That's the whole idea. If black can't get in c5 somehow, eventually he'll have a backward pawn on the c file. So we have to find a way to make that work tactically. Although Kamsky, you know, he's not a mainline d4 player really. Gata played a lot of e4 and a lot of closed queen pawn games, but he's not really a theoretician with mainline queen pawn stuff. I don't know how much he knows about this. I feel like the Catalan, though, you can play with limited amount of theoretical knowledge. Keyboard not found. My problem is that the F key makes... It has two functions. It makes the board flip, but it also makes my OBS bring that window to the top at the same time. Hello, Mr. Knight. How are you doing over there? So, that's always uncomfortable, having the knight on a2. It needs to bounce back to c1 and to b3, but it takes time. Can move 11 get his game on by then? Oh, this is just dropping. What? 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 So first we have to look at knight b4. What's happening here? Bishop takes b4, rook a4. Slightly better for white, right? At least. Do we get in our c5? What about this? It could be tricky with ops-colored bishops, or no bishop. It was materialistic to take a4. Right, well, what's the idea? To play c5. The other possibility is this, this, this. But we haven't solved our problem with that. But maybe this is a problem because white is tied down on e2 and b4. Queen is overloaded. He has to protect the knight. You know? So maybe this actually works. Simple. So instead he played this. And you're just hanging on the material. I like it. Now he has knight b4. Bang. Now you do the bishop b5 thing. And now he's overloaded again. But in this version he has more pressure. He's also, though, you also have this. You have this, this, and this. Which all look pretty good. Now there's huge complications with capturing on c6. Probably a draw. Or is it? Just don't play rook a7. So at the end of the day, you manage to lose a pawn and lose the bishop pair in one fell swoop. No, you didn't lose a pawn. It's equal. Okay. All right, the bishop pair we can handle. It's a little nasty, though, this endgame. Shouldn't white take with the rook? I would assume you would take with the rook, not with the bishop. To keep pressure on a6. Rook b6, and white is slightly better. Again, very hard to win, though. Likely still black can hang on for a draw. Yep. But now, like, you know, you have to accept that you have no winning chances. And that's the problem with the open Catalan, I think. You know, if you really want to win, probably you have to play the closed Catalan. It allows too much simplification for people like to play for a win with black. I mean, I don't know about e4, but either side could drop their queenside pawn, theoretically lose here. And where? I'm sorry? Is this pawn not hanging? Are you trapped? It's just a draw anyway. There. That's still not clear. I assume white's gonna like draw even if he drops a pawn here. And now it's definitely a draw. You could play to lose. Playing for the loss. Uh-oh. Do we have anything now? Check. Check and rook. Check and rook c2. Oh, you went for the pawn. It's just a draw. It wasn't really good to hang the pawn on f7, I guess. Better not to do that. I suppose with like king e6. It's still probably a draw, though. Move 11 is playing for the win. So king f3, rook check, and a7, e3, threatening mate in 1. I guess he should have gone to g1, but it doesn't matter. Is this really a draw? So if he checks, it's a draw, probably. It's a draw. So it must be a draw here. 2 pawns down. Not unheard of. So white had something? It's a draw all the way. Yeah, it was always a draw. It did look scary, I admit. And maybe e3 is your only move. Wow, king f3 holds? Wow. I really thought here maybe he was winning. You could play king h3 and hold the game. So, now you're playing for the win. This is definitely a draw. Perpetual check. And black wins on time. So at some point he found a way to get a losing position. What? This is a losing move. Wow. Check. And then you missed this. That's the best. It's totally unbelievable. You managed to win that. The best stuff. Alright. Dr. Tripchance, technically you're supposed to be a subscriber to submit a game, but you snuck in there. Alright. Just quickly going to go over this last game, guys. I got to leave in 10 minutes. This is Dr. Tripchance with white. Okay. Black sacked a pawn. Interesting. Okay, I mean, it's probably known idea. Knight g4 is also interesting. This is good for bullet chess or something like that. White elo 2100, black elo 586. Interesting. Knight d5. Bishop c5. So he's trolling a 500. Knight f3, d6, a3, bishop f5, c4, d4. White's just like up a pawn. Now he has the bishop pair and up a pawn. Accumulating advantages. Now he traps a piece with c5. Very interesting. c5. How to beat a 500. This is irreplaceable. Guy dropped all of his pieces. And that was it. Congratulations. Anyway. Alright, guys. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We're going to be back tomorrow morning. Thanks, Mr. Coffee, for being here as our moderator for some serious chess analysis. Tomorrow morning, Friday, 11 a.m. CEST, we'll be back. I'm going to get some dinner, and I will see you guys fresh and ready for the next stream. Thank you all for your support. Appreciate it, and we will see you at 11 tomorrow. Thanks, Mr. Coffee, for your help. Thanks, Astrobate and everyone, for being loyal followers to the stream. Bye-bye.